I'm liking this music. It sounds like Oklahoma music almost, doesn't it? Well, hey, Dr. Singer. Oh, you've got one of your special treasures next to you. We'll have to share with the folks a little bit about that machine, won't we? All right, let me get some lights on. Well, what you can see in the shot is obviously our beloved Dr. Singer. And our purpose in this premiere today is to do an unboxing, which has nothing to do really directly with Dr. Singer's machine that he has next to him there, which is a Singer Model 20, also known as a So Handy, that was originally put out by Singer right around 1910. And this machine that Dr. Singer has is obviously not quite that old. It's going to be from the late 1940s, early 1950 time frame. And this is probably one of the most copied machines that ever was made by Singer, because over time the patents ran out and countries all around the world ended up stealing the design of this machine and remaking it under their badge mark. So you'll see a lot of models out there, and my friend Alex on Sew-A-Lot kind of warns us as well that there's a lot of repainting of these machines too, and then they're being sold as originals. Dr. Singer's has the original paint, decaling and everything on it. So a very cool, very cool machine that came out from Singer again in 1910, about 60 years after Singer came onto the scene with their first machine. And again, these machines were made in Canada, they were made in Turkey, they were made all over the place, even in Great Britain, and came in a variety of different colors as well. When they originally were put out, everything from kind of a powder baby blue color to a red to more of a Mozilla type finish that came out of Great Britain that has kind of a fauve look to it, really. But if you decide you want to visit Alex's page, there's a lot more information on this Model 20 and a lot of really cool, cute pictures, like this little girl right here that is sitting down to her machine and enjoying it greatly. So it did come out originally as a toy style machine, but later a lot of people used it for regular sewing when they were looking to lay down a chain stitch. This has a chain stitch, not a lock stitch, as far as its hook system and output. But it's a neat little machine, and kind of like that chain stitch machine that I gave away many months ago to my friend out in Virginia. Chain stitch sewing is surprisingly effective and surprisingly strong as well. And we'll have a chance to look at this machine regularly because it's usually sitting on the workbench right next to Dr. Singer. One of his favorite little treasures that he has, and he loves sharing it with folks, don't you, Dr. Singer? Yeah. All right, well, let me come on in this shot. We'll get some more music going. And I should mention, by the way, that the machine that we're going to unbox today is a machine, again, that I acquired by trading one of my machines from my personal collection for it. And certainly not trading Dr. Singer's Model 20. I traded, what was it that I traded? I'm trying to remember. It's been a little bit ago. It took a while for the machine to arrive here. Yeah, that's right. I traded a Singer 99K, and you may have noticed recently when I showed Debbie Carver's Singer 99K that ended up getting shipped back to Knoxville, Tennessee. Do you remember that machine? And on the workbench, I had my 99K next to her machine, and my 99K was from a very small production group size of only about 4,500, and it was born August 1st, 1922. If you don't remember that, go back to that premiere where I showed Debbie Carver's 99K. Hers was also from 1992 by 1992. from 1922. A little bit of a difference there. And I was talking about the contrast between those two machines. Debbie Carver's being again from 1922, from a production group size of 35,000 and being all metal, and mine being from also 1922, but being from a production group size of only 4,500 and being made of aluminum. So you'll have to check that out. If you missed that, you'll definitely want to check it out, because I ended up discovering that someone had reached out to me after seeing that premiere and said, boy, would I love to get my mitts on an all aluminum Singer 99K. I said, let me see if I have another one, because I don't want to give this one away. And I discovered that I actually had another 99K. It wasn't from 1922, but it also was all aluminum. And so I ended up doing a trade with this gentleman who I believe, let me see, I think he's out of Pennsylvania. Let me take a peek real quick. Let me see, excuse me, Dr. Singer. Yes, he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His first name is Justin, and Justin is a fellow collector of vintage machines, and he really, really wanted to get his mitts on that all aluminum 99K. So I found another 99K that's all aluminum in my personal collection, and I did a swap. So you'll see today in this unboxing, what did I trade him for my really quite rare 99K all aluminum model. I still have the original one you saw that I showed with Debbie Carver's 99K, but I had another one that I traded to Justin. So let's see what it is. Blah, 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 blah. And before we officially launch into the unboxing, I'm going to move Dr. Singer and his very cool Model 20. And also I'll give you a couple of hints on what this machine is. What did I trade for an all aluminum 99K? What would I have traded for a machine like that? Let's see what we have next. So that first song that you heard is called Mika. And the next one is Esther's Waltz. I did a search for waltz, and we're going to be listening to different scores, different pieces that came up under that search criteria. So here is number 9, Esther's Waltz. I hope it is, assuming the internet did not go out again, which it does quite often here. And I'm thinking that it did. So bear with me for a second as I refresh this page. I hope I don't have to re-enter everything all over again, but I might. Yeah, for the longest time I had the most reliable internet service here. And then Spectrum started going into a lot of their branching of other type products, and it just seems like the quality of their streaming has dropped off considerably. So if you're watching this and you have Spectrum as well, I hope that you haven't been affected by them expanding their footprint into other type products and really seeming to kind of drop the ball as far as their quality, at least in my area. Their quality of internet services. I'm trying to refresh it again here. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up, I hope. It's slowly loading, folks. It's slowly loading. If you could see it, it's like, I mean, it's like lazy Sunday here. Well, I hope all of you have been doing well. I know that we're still kind of in the Corona craze mode, and that that a lot of you are being affected by it. I know even as I prepare now for my rescheduled visit to the Tulsa, Oklahoma Sewing Museum, I know that WK, my friend down there that founded that museum, said that they're still struggling quite a bit down in that neck of the woods with corona popping up all over the place. And as some of you know that follow me very closely, part of the reason that my trip down to Tulsa, Oklahoma had to be rescheduled is because WK had a death connected to his family because of corona, and he's got to travel to that funeral this week. So it's kind of thrown a little twist that we weren't expecting, but we adjusted, and thankfully we're able to reschedule another visit that you'll see popping up on Facebook and see it popping up through special premieres on YouTube as well. Well, with all of that delay, as you patiently waited, I think we finally have it loaded again. I don't know how long it'll last, but we'll keep our fingers and toes crossed. So here again, hopefully, is number 9, Esther's Waltz. So if you have any pull with Spectrum, send them a nasty note or call them and say, stop messing with Scott's internet, doggone it. So let's see what I traded for that all aluminum 99K. We'll get going on this unboxing. Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Dr. Singer. I've got so much on my mind with all of the projects that are going on, plus being away from, anticipating being away from the workshop to go down to Tulsa, Oklahoma, that my mind is just scattered all over the place. And hopefully that hasn't been too evident through premieres, but I'm just being honest with you because we're family. So a couple quick clues on what did Scott trade his 99K all aluminum model for. So I'm going to give you a couple of clues. This particular machine was only made in 1 year, 1952. And it had a total production of only 185,750, which means its production size over the course of that year in 1952 was only slightly larger than the very coveted Singer 222K that was just sent to me by Maddie, my good friend from Florida. So this particular model, in my opinion, is incredibly rare because it was only made 1 year and it had a very small overall production size. And that's part of the reason I decided that, okay, I'll do a trade for my 99K all aluminum model. Again, I had a couple of these in my personal collection, but the machine that we trade for needs to have some rarity factor to it, and I believe that it does. Again, because of the things I just mentioned. So we'll continue with the unboxing. I wanted to give you those little clues so that if you want to try to guess what this model might be, what did Scott trade his all aluminum 99K for, you would at least have a fighting chance. And you obviously saw at the opening to this, Dr. Singer was present with his Model 20, so you also know that this machine in all likelihood is going to be a Singer model. That was made in 1952 and again only had 185,750 of these made in that 1 year that they made this model. Okay? Big clues, big clues. So that was number 9, Esther's Waltz. Now we're going to hopefully be able to hear number 1A, Minor Waltz. Now these are interesting packing materials. I like this when, if some of you haven't noticed, those of you that have had direct contact with me because you either sent a machine to the workshop to be restored or I provided a fully restorated machine to you, restorated. Yeah, we'll go with that, even though it's probably a fully restored machine, not restorated. It almost sounds like resurrected machine, which I do too, but at any rate, I love sending personal notes, and oftentimes I will share a book from my collection, and I'll sign the book and write a personal note to that person that I'm sending that machine back to. Many of you watching this probably have experienced that if we've had that level of contact. And I love personal notes. So here's a personal note from this gentleman that I did the trade with, again out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Justin. And Justin writes to me, thank you so much for making this trade with me. I hope the packing job is to your liking. I did everything in my power to ensure its safe arrival. Yours sincerely, Justin. That's classy. We have moved too much into a technology phase where writing personal notes like that, unless they're texted or unless they're emailed, just seems like too much of a burden to most people, especially, and no offense to our younger folks, but especially to our younger generations. They've been conditioned in a way where writing a personal note just seems absolutely foreign. And I delight every single time I get a personal note like this. So, Justin, if you're watching this, which I trust you are, kudos to you, my friend, for writing that personal note. So that again was number 1A minor waltz, and now we're going to listen to Jesse's Carnival Waltz. A number of these we've heard before, again because, and the other day I just totally blanked, I could not remember his name. Andre R., my buddy who goes all over the world and presents his waltzes and his beautiful music in concert form, and is originally from Holland. I've kind of gotten in that kick now of where I'm really enjoying listening to waltz music, and I hope you do as well. I hope you enjoy it. So here's Jesse's Carnival Waltz. Well, you've seen these airbags before, obviously, through these unboxings, but, so this is not unique. I'm going to set these to the side, but these are super cool. Look at these. Now, if this gentleman that sent this to me folded every one of these, I am really impressed. See, they've got a little tab thing that kind of tucks in right there that holds it into shape. Have you ever seen one of these before? I have to say that I've never ever, with all the unboxings and all the machines that I've received, I've never ever received one of these before. It either looks like a wedge of cheese or something like that, doesn't it? And the company name on it is expandios.com. If anyone wants to Google right now during this live premiere, again, it's called Expand, I said it wrong, I'm sorry. It's expandos.com, expandos.com. You can see it in the shot right there. If anyone wants to Google this company and type in the chat some interesting information, who are they? What else do they sell? They obviously sell these little packing wedges. I'll send you something special if you go to the effort of doing that and post it. If you're the first one to post it, something interesting about this company, you know, what else do they do? Expandos.com. I'll send you something special. But he's got a whole box of these things, so I'm gonna hang on to them and probably repurpose them for a machine that's being shipped out, which very likely will be Tony's machine that I'm just in the final phases right now of finishing, his Singer 1591. So Tony, if you're watching this premiere, and Tony again is an educator out in Ohio. So Tony, if you're watching this, you're very likely going to inherit these really cool packing wedges, and you could probably, when classes resume, if I don't know if you're already back in the classroom or not, but if you're not, when class resumes, or if you're doing like the virtual learning thing, you could always show these to your students, and I think they would totally get jazzed by them. Totally get jazzed. I'm getting jazzed, and I'm a grown-up, well, sort of a grown-up, and I just think they're the coolest thing. They even have the little holes in them like cheese would have. I'm just totally, wow. So let me grab something to put all these in, because it looks like the entire container is filled with these little packing wedges, again from expandos.com. Oh, this is cool. I love new things, don't you? I'm going to ring the bell again. It's just, I'm ringing the bell in honor of expandos.com for their very cool packing, let's just call them packing cheese wedges, shouldn't we? Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Let me grab something to throw these in. But before I do that, I'll put on another piece of music. This one is called Jukebox. Jukebox. And again, you younger people, if you don't know what a jukebox is, Jukebox, Google it. And if you're in attendance at this premiere, I'll send you something special. If you post a description of when was the jukebox founded, tell us a little bit of interesting stuff about the jukebox. But again, you got to be a young person. Of course, if you're young at heart, you qualify anyway, so don't worry about age. Age has no consequence. Here we go. Ooh, this is cool. This almost feels like 1950s doo-wop music, doesn't it? Listen to it, listen to it. Doo-wop, doo-wop, doo-doo-wop, doo-doo-doo-doo-wop, doo-doo-doo-doo-wop, doo-doo-doo-doo-wop. Yeah, that's a doo-wop song. No doubt. All right, how am I going to do this? I'm going to bring my chair over. And then I'll move this chair back out of the way once I'm done offloading all of these really cool cheese packing wedge thingies that, in all likelihood, my friend Tony, who sent me a couple of machines, we started our friendship when he sent me a Spartan, if you don't remember that. So you can definitely look up that video on this channel. Tony's Spartan machine, his 192K, and then he sent me a 201-2, the Rolls-Royce of Singer sewing machines, and then finally he sent me a Singer 1591, which I'm just finishing up right now. So Tony and I have been buds, vintage buds, for a number of time now, and I think it would be fitting to send all of these super awesome, cool packing cheese wedgie thingies to Tony, my educator friend out in Ohio. I know I'm going to get asked, so I've got to find out real quick. Someone's going to ask me, what city is Tony from? He is from Delphos, D-E-L-P-H-O-S, Ohio. I have no idea any details on his city. If anybody just for fun wants to Google Delphos, Ohio, D-E-L-P-H-O-S, and put it in the chat for all of us to become more knowledgeable about where Tony comes from, that would be super cool, and you will get an A in this class today. I just have to totally ask Justin where he got these super duper cool cheese packing wedges. I mean, especially with me being from Wisconsin, how cool would it be if these aren't too expensive? Because again, I have to factor that into the expense of getting that machine shipped back to the customer. But if they're not too expensive, if they're comparable or a little bit more than packing peanuts, how fun would it be to use these as my new packing method in lieu of packing peanuts? coming from the state of Wisconsin. I mean, this is the original dairy state. No matter what my friends in California might say, this is the original dairy state. And you've got to see the glasses I have on today. I decided to try these to see if they help better from a standpoint of seeing close up, because my other glasses are just not cutting it right now. I've misread things. It's been awful. So I'm trying my pink glasses, my pink power glasses today to see if that helps. And it's a little bit clearer, a little bit better. But I'll have to look into that. I'll have to ask Justin where he got these. These are just the coolest thing. But again, to set the record straight, the dairy state is Wisconsin, not California. No matter what my friends in California might say. So that was Jukebox, and now I'm typing in Funhouse as the next song that I'm going to share. Yeah, see, one of them came undone in shipment. That may be the only problem, is you might have to put a little piece of tape when you put them together. When you put them together, put a little piece of tape around there. Of course, that would be incredibly time-consuming, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be incredibly time-consuming, unless I could recruit somebody that wanted to, you know, in exchange for, say, a free service, they wanted to come to the workshop and fold all these puppies. I don't think I'd get too many people signing up for that, even as valuable as my complete service and deep cleaning might be, but you never know. So I don't think we've ever played this song before. It's almost kind of creepy, isn't it? It's got kind of a creepy sound to it. And we are coming up on Halloween quite soon, so maybe this would be a song that would be played on Halloween. I don't know. Again, I'm not a real big Halloween celebrator, so I don't know. Any of you that are experts on Halloween, you could always let me know if you think that would be an appropriate song to play on Halloween. See, here's another one that kind of came undone. So that would be the only issue I would have, is obviously the resilience and the stability of a packing peanut is far surpasses what these super cool wedges, cheese wedge packing thingies would be able to do, because it looks like they do have a tendency to kind of come undone, and then all you have is a flat piece of cardboard instead of a wedge. So that really strange, creepy, eerie type song that we just played is called Funhouse. And now we're going to do Kate's Waltz. I have no idea who Kate is. If your name is Kate, type in the chat, I am Kate, and this is my waltz song. And I just think that I'll give you a smiley face. That would be super cool. Now, if you're a guy and you're typing in your name as Kate, I'm going to wonder about you, just so you know. Good gravy. These things just keep on coming. Yeah, there's the pink glasses again. See, this is pink glasses, no glasses. I really don't need these on to unpack. I mean, I probably should just take them off, otherwise it's going to potentially strain my eyes. So I just put them on because I was doing some work on Tony's machine. I'm real close to finalizing it right now, and I had them on for some of the closer work that I was doing. So from a standpoint of stability, and I'm just looking at this box, and it was purchased at Home Depot, and remember in one of the recent premieres I gave kudos to Home Depot and recommended people consider buying their boxes there because they tend to be a lot more sturdy. This one is maybe, I don't know, maybe it's been used a couple of times or recycled, but it's not quite as stable as that one Home Depot box that I gave the kudos about. So yeah, I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's been used a couple times. Maybe Justin got a machine that was shipped to him in it, and then he recycled it again, as some people will do. And it's lost a little bit of its stability because of that. So I think I'm in a position now, instead of pulling all of these out, because you can sort of see in the box, down here I've got more of those. I've got them here, I've got them here. It's going to take me forever to pull all these little guys out, so I'm going to see if I can lift this box out very carefully, and I'll check the box for anything else that Justin may have put in there, and then we'll move forward with focusing on this box that's inside of the box. Let me see what I can do here. It's a little bit slippery, so I'm doing my best here. See if I can dig underneath it and get my hand underneath it. I may have to take a couple more of these little cheese wedge thingies out. There we go. I think I can get underneath it now. Yep, there we go. Another little box right there. So you can just see in the bottom of there, Justin, I think his personal note again was he was hoping he had done a decent job in packing, and I really think he did. I think he did some very thoughtful packing, along with his thoughtful handwritten note. Also on the bottom of here, he's got a fairly sizable wedge. I would say probably about an inch thick wedge of styrofoam, and it's not brittle, so it does have some impact protection for the bottom as well, along with all of these super cool cheese packing wedgie thingies. Again, I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know if any of you looked up the name of that company that I gave you, but I'd just be curious, you know, what else they make. What else do they make? Because I just think these are so neat. I don't know if you're as impressed with them as I am. I just think they're so cool. And he used quite a bit of them in the packing process, you can see as well in this tote. So I'm going to dump all these from my tote back into his box. And again, I'll most likely use these for packing Tony's Singer 1591 after premiering it and it being sent out of the workshop quite soon. So let's do this. We'll get these two boxes back up here. I'm going to move these airbags out of the way. And move this chair out of the way. And put on another piece of music and we will continue the process. I'm just curious, this must be... Oh yeah, those are some of the other goodies. We'll look at those second. We'll concentrate on the main box first. And I will put on some more music. My internet hasn't gone out again. So that was Kate's Waltz. And now we have Solar Power. Solar Power is the next one. Let me just get it queued up here. I'm not sure why it's called Solar Power, but maybe somebody that's environmental friendly or something came up with the title. I have no idea. Science Diet Treats. So I'm guessing that Justin or someone that Justin knows probably has a pet. Science Diet is a very popular brand for pet owners. So lots of bubble wrap. Well, any guesses yet? Again, from the clues I gave you, you know that it's a Singer sewing machine. You know that it was only made in 1 year, 1952, and you know that there were 185,750 of them made. So you know that it's a fairly rare machine. Again, even from the research that Hans and I did, the very coveted Singer 222K that Maddie sent me from Florida, that I recently premiered on this channel in an unboxing, they only made 110,000 of those. So this production size on this particular machine that's in this box that I traded my all aluminum Singer 1591 for, there were only about 75,000 more of these machines made. Now that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't, because most production group sizes are going to be somewhere between 50 to 60,000 machines. So we're only talking about about one more production group size than the Singer Featherweight 222K. And when you compare it to the Singer Featherweight, which from what Hans and I were able to discover through our collective research, the Singer Featherweight 221 and 221-1, etc., they had a total group size of right around close to 3 million machines. So that's really where you redefine what rare is. You know what I mean? You really define what rare is when you're looking at production group sizes for total machine production that only was made for 1 year of less than 200,000 machines is what is in this box right here behind us. So that's pretty doggone cool. And that's why I was willing to make that trade for my machine. So that again was Solar Power. Now we're going to listen to Tiptoes. Tiptoes. We'll see what this sounds like. So get your guesses in. We're pretty doggone close to getting down to the nitty-gritty of this machine that I traded my all aluminum 1591 for. Getting really, really close. Alright, let me see if I can get underneath this machine and lift it out of this box. You can kind of see what's inside of the box here. Lower this down a little bit because we've changed heights now a little bit. So I think Justin did a real good job. He kind of patted around the machine. I don't see any padding in the bottom of this box. There was in the other box. So that would be the only critique that I would make of his packing thus far, is even the inner box, if you do a box within a box method, which is pretty indicative of the way that UPS will pack, you want to always pad the inside box on the bottom as well. Don't neglect that, because that box is going to be shuffling up and down. The machine is inside of that box. You might as well protect that bottom as much as you would the outside box. Check my camera shot because we've changed heights a couple of times now. There we go. That's pretty good, I think. And I say this quite often, but if you're new to this channel, if you're unpackaging something like this, you'll want to make sure that you point those scissors away from the machine that's underneath this padding, so you don't accidentally poke through and damage the machine in some way. Alright, another huge clue for you, if you haven't guessed it yet. And again, I'm not looking at the chat, so if it's already been guessed correctly, then this is for naught, but I'll share it anyway. Another big clue for this particular machine that is in here is it's very light compared to other vintage machines. I know that's obtuse, but it's still a clue. It's very light. All right, so that was Tiptoes. And now we're going to play one that's called Laugh and Cry. Laugh and Cry. And if any of you have been in theater like me, I have a theater background. I minored in theater in college. My major was pre-law. But if any of you have an appreciation for theater, have been involved with theater, etc., you know that classic little symbol of the two faces. One appears to be expressing sorrow. The other one seems to be expressing joy in relation to theatrical type jargon. So this next one is called Laugh and Joy. No, Laugh and Cry. I'm sorry. Laugh and Cry. I thought of joy because I just said it. Laugh and Cry. Here we go. Another song with a harmonica. I'm loving it. So get your guesses in pretty quick. We're getting really close. I gotta try it. I gotta try it. Hold on. Alright, I'll let him finish the song. I'll get back to unboxing. I see I have it facing the wrong way. All right, here we go. We're getting really close. Really, really close. Get ready. You can kind of see the balance wheel sticking through there on this side right over here. All right, what else do we have? So that was Laugh and Cry. And this next one is called Happy Birthday Jazz Waltz. So it must be Happy Birthday in a jazz type format. Wait, where did it go? I just clicked the wrong button. Doggone it. Watch what buttons you click because you can totally mess things up. Here we go. I got it again. So if it happens to be your birthday either this month in October or if it's your birthday in November, consider this song played in your honor. If your birthday's in October or November, this song is to honor you. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you know what your name is. Happy birthday to you. Come on now, sing with me. Don't leave me out here by myself. Doctor, sing louder. Dr. Singer, louder. I can't hear you. Happy birthday, you know what your name is. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, baby, you know what your name is. And you know age is just a number, right? Age is just a number, so don't dwell on it. Don't fret a birthday, celebrate it. Celebrate that birthday. Yeah. All right, we're real close. We're real close. Yes, we are real close. To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you know what your name is. Happy birthday to you. So happy birthday if your birthday's in October or November. Really, if it's any time. If it happened to be in September, then we're celebrating your birthday too. Happy birthday to you and many more. And that was just about perfect timing. Getting down to the bare bones of what this machine that Scott traded for his all-aluminum Singer 1591 is. You probably can see it clearly in the shot now. You know that it's the big sister to the Featherweight, but have you named it correctly? Because remember, this machine was made only in 1952, and there were only 185,750 made, and it was made in the factory at Elizabethport, New Jersey. Not at the Anderson, South Carolina plant. That's another huge clue, right? So you've got to distinguish between those big sisters of the Featherweight, because there's really two big sisters. If you've never thought about it that way, there's two big sisters to the Featherweight, and this is the first sister, the eldest sister, because it came out before the other sister as far as production. And again, it was made at Elizabethport, New Jersey, not Anderson, South Carolina. Have I given you some great clues or what? I know I have. Fantastic clues. So happy birthday again, if it's recently been your birthday, or if it would totally freak me out that it's your birthday today during this premiere. That would be like an amazing occurrence. It would be kind of almost like a mystery of how did it time out like that this premiere happened to occur right on the day that it's your birthday. It would be a mystery, much like this next song, which is called Murder Mystery. Ooh, an organ. You don't hear an organ in too many of these. All right, let me get these bobbins out of the way. And these look like original, well, some of these are original bobbins. Like this one here. Let me turn my screen around. That looks like it's probably an original bobbin, which is also rusty. And that one as well. Remember again that this particular model, and I'm not going to say it yet, I'm giving you every opportunity, is going to take the same bobbin and bobbin case as the Singer Featherweight. Another one. And then all of a sudden, Justin went totally sideways and crazy, and he threw in this bobbin with it, which will not work in this machine. This is obviously an original Class 66 bobbin, which would work in Tony's 201-2, Model 66. a number of other machines that Singer made, but definitely not in this machine. So Tony, don't be concerned. I'm not gonna try to fit this in your 1591 because it wouldn't work at all. All right, let me set this machine back a little bit, and let's look in this other box. See what kind of goodies I have in here. So I've got a Singer buttonholer manual, which I am very likely not going to need, but I'll find some use for it. We've got this little box here with some goodies inside of it, obviously. Let's see what's in here. So we've got some attachments. And if these are slant needle style, which I'll have to look at, then they will work with this machine. If they're not slant, then I'll find some other use for them. Let's see what this one is. Little screwdriver. These are always handy to have. So some of these attachments look like they may not be compatible with this machine. Others look like they might be. And how do you check an attachment if you're going to test it on your machine? If you want to type it in the chat, you'll get an A in the class for today. How do you test an attachment properly if you want to see if it's going to work with your machine, potentially? Yeah, there's a buttonholer. Kind of cool. And yes, they made button holders for standard Singer machines and also slant machines as well. So I'll have to check this a little bit more closely and see if it's going to be compatible with this particular machine that I traded Justin and gave him my 1591 aluminum model. Set that to the side as well. So again, that was called Murder Mystery. And this next one is called Bittersweet Waltz. Bittersweet Waltz. Alright, I'm hoping this is the foot controller / power cord. Otherwise I'm going to have a gripe with Justin, because that was included. And it is. And this one is wired so that you don't have to wire, or you don't have to, you don't have to have a separate plug-in for the foot controller. Kind of like you saw recently for that 401, where you had a setup like this, but then you had an additional cord that was specifically for the foot controller, and you had to plug it in the front. And a lot of them are set up where you can still do that. But this one is wired so you just have a single unit plugging it in, and then it controls power to the light. It also supplies power to the foot controller all in one. And we'll plug this in and actually see how it runs before I've done my service to it. So and if you're not familiar with it, this is the correct bobbin case, and this is an original one. It's actually stamped for this particular machine. And again, this bobbin case and bobbin will actually work in the featherweight as well. You can flip them back and forth. So if you have a Singer like this machine, notice I almost said it. If you have a Singer like this machine, the big sister to the featherweight, and you have a featherweight, you can swap that bobbin case and those bobbins back and forth between those two machines. That's kind of cool, huh? And again, we have another original bobbin, but it's needing some attention, as you can see. I'm taking away Justin's Better Better House and Gardening sticker, or whatever they call that thingy. That was such a big deal back in the day. So, Better Homes and Gardens sticker, I think is what it was called. So, all right. I'm finally going to reveal it officially. So I've given you a lot of lead time on this machine. This is none other than the Singer 301. In contrast with the Singer 301A, again, one was made only 1 year, which is this model here, the 301. It was only made in 1952. And then its sister that came out in 1953, the 301A, which again was not made in Elizabethport, New Jersey. This one was, but the sister to this model, the 301A, was made in Anderson, South Carolina. And it was made for a period of, well, 4 years basically, from 1953 until 1957. The 301A. Again, not this model. This model is the 301. How do you know that? Right there you can see, if it were a 301A, the little plate below the badge mark would say 301A. And then you would know that it was made in Anderson, South Carolina, from a total production group size over the period that it was made during those 4 years, from 53 to 57, 514,250. But again, not to totally confuse you, that's the 301A. What you're looking at here that I traded for is the 301. The 301 again came from a total production group size during that 1 year that it was made in 1952 of 185,750. So minus the machine that you see on the workbench right now, in the world somewhere, if they're still all in operation in existence, there's 185,749 machines. If you add mine, then you've got 185,750. So again, not to totally confuse you, that's not my goal. The machine on the workbench that I traded for, the big sister to the featherweight, or I should say one of the big sisters to the featherweight, the original big sister to the featherweight, came out in 1952 only, and had a total production group size during that 1 year of 185,750. Its other sister, that was made at the plant in Anderson, South Carolina, came from a total production size over the period of 4 years that it was made, from 53 until 57, of 514,250. So, again, I hope I haven't confused you. I'm going back and forth on you. So I traded for this machine, and I think it was a good trade. We'll see once we plug it in and what kind of response we get. Otherwise, I'll go and shoot Justin's porch light out there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I think that's where I said he came from, right? Well, I'll find out. So this is a rare machine. Just as the machine I traded him for, my all-aluminum Singer 1591, was an equally rare machine. Probably a little bit more rare, but I have a need for this one is part of the reason that I agreed to do the trade. So even though the one that I traded him for was from a much smaller group size, at least that specific model was, all in all, I've got an equally rare machine here. And again, a number of you sent me notes when I recently highlighted that in one of the premieres. I talked about the rarity of the Singer 301, the fact that it was only made 1 year, 1952, and the fact that during that 1 year there were only 185,750 of those machines made. That was it. That the featherweight owners are always bragging about how rare their machines are, but in reality, the basic featherweight, not the featherweight convertible like Maddie's that came out of Florida, the 222K, the basic featherweight, the 221, the 221-1, there were about 3 million of those puppies made. So I try to encourage owners of the 301 and the 301A as well to puff up a little bit, go to a mountaintop and shout, my machine is more rare than a featherweight. And it's true. It's utterly true. It's factually true. It's not just emotion. It's not just an emotive response of, you know, a big sister to the featherweight owner saying, well, I'm just as rare as you. They can say it loudly and proudly. It is. It's actually more rare because there were fewer of these machines made, especially this 301. Only 185,750 made in 1952, the only year that this machine was made. But even the 301A owners can puff up and brag because there were only 514,250 of the 301As made over those 4 years that they were in production from 1953 to 1957. Which, if you do the basic math, and you already know that I'm not a math guy, but if you do the basic math, that means that there were only 1/6 of the machines that were made in the 301A class compared to the 3 million approximately of the featherweights that were made. So you could do the math and you say, okay, if there were only 514,000 of these 301As made, and there were about 3 million of the featherweights made, what is the percentage difference? That's way out of my math league. Some of you are mathematicians. You can do it just like I'm done. So if you want to post that in the chat, you'll get an A in the class today. But let's just say 514,250 compared to 3 million. It's pretty evident why I argue that whether you have a 301 like on the workbench right now or a 301A, you can go to the nearest mountaintop or a big mound of dirt and shout, my big sister to the featherweight, my 301 or my 301A is more rare than the coveted featherweight that everyone is always bragging about and boasting about. And, oh, my machine is so rare. I can't believe that I've got it. You know, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I know I'm embarrassing you, Dr. Singer. I know. When I do the weird voice, I get it. I totally get it. But I really want you guys to understand that. I want you to understand that no one needs to tell a featherweight owner to be proud of the machine. They're immediately like, whoa, look what I got, baby. But sometimes the people that own the 301s and the 301As, they kind of go to the back of the room and they're not going to step forward and mention to anybody what they have. They should. They absolutely should. All right, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. So, all right. Let's see if my internet's still working. So that was Bittersweet Waltz. Now let's do Party Waltz. Let's do Party Waltz. Yeah, let's do Party Waltz. I think they are having a party. They're definitely having a party. And I have to show you real quick. There's actually like a mold. Turn my, and I forgot to lock my camera, of course. Okay, what I was going to show you, or try to show you, is there's actually a mold on this plug-in. You see that green stuff? Yuck. You expect to find that in your refrigerator, not on a foot controller. To try to plug it in. It's not plugging in readily, so let me try it the other way. There we go. Alright, and just in case, always got to be ready. You know what I mean? You got to be ready. Oh, and I've got to straighten this as well. Look at that. Justin does not get an A in the class today. Justin, you're not getting an A. I don't care what you say, buddy. You gave us some really cool packing cheese wedge thingies, but you had a bent plug with mold on it, nonetheless. So you're definitely, I mean, you're like around a C- right now. If anybody has an opinion as to, so far from what you've seen, what kind of grade Justin should get in the class today, type it in the chat. Type it in the chat, and that's what we'll give him for a grade. All right, I'm going to set all the stuff that Justin sent with this machine in here, and then we're going to try to do a quick test on this machine as well. And I'll leave the music off for a little bit. So that was Party Waltz, and it kind of sounded like a party too, didn't it? So the next one that we do after we get done testing the machine, assuming that there's not sparks or fire, the next one we're going to do is called Mary Andras Waltz. Mary Andras Waltz. That sounds really pretty, doesn't it? So I have no idea what kind of bulb is in here right now, if there's even a bulb. And I am feeling a switch that has an issue. The switch is not clicking into place. I'm able to find a sweet spot and get it to come on, but it's definitely got an issue for sure. So I'm going to have to take that apart and see what's going on with it. But at least the light comes on. It's not as it should be though. So let's very cautiously and carefully, again, I've got this fire extinguisher right behind the machine. We need it. Hopefully we don't. I'll widen this shot a little bit so if there are flames you can see the flames more clearly. Gotta have fun, right? Gotta have a little bit of fun. Alright, and I'll push this foot controller. We'll see what we get. And it's usually a good idea. Couple things. One is make sure your presser foot is up if you don't have material underneath the presser foot. I always hand turn the balance wheel first so that I can make sure, even though I took the bobbin case out, I can make sure that the needle, if the timing is way off on the machine, I can make sure that the needle is going to clear the hook and it's not going to hit the hook. So I always, before I power the foot controller, I always turn the balance wheel first and make sure that that needle is going to come up and down without making metal-to-metal contact with anything. And it looks like we're good to go. The other thing I do, because I don't know what condition the motor is in, again with the 301 like this, made in 1952, it's going to have that vertically mounted 0.54 amp motor. But we don't know what condition that motor is in. We don't know if it's serviceable, we don't know if it's functional, we don't know much about it other than what Justin told me. So I always disengage the clutch as well, so that we're testing the motor with the least amount of load on it as possible, so that if it is going to need some major restoration and intervention, that we're not going to end up killing the last possibilities of that motor being saved. So I always disengage the clutch. That way we're only turning the balance wheel, which seems to turn fairly freely. And now the big test. We're going to push down on this foot controller. We'll see what we get. Alrighty, ready? Fire extinguisher is here within reach. I'll have to reach over the flames, but hey, you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm testing my reflexes right now. Hold on a second. Yep. Yep. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Warmed up. Yep, shaking it off. All right, here we go. I see no flames. I see no sparks. I see no smoke. I don't think I see any smoke. Okay, I'm going to move this spool of thread that looks like it's probably, let's see here, by Coates & Clark, strong and, okay, dual duty. Yeah, based on the branding colors of this, I would say it's probably rather old. 1950s, 1960s maybe. There's no price on it. Sometimes there's a price on it of like $10 10 or 15 cents, which right away tells you, yeah, that's not from Walmart. That's not going to be from Walmart. Not likely. So, and if you're not familiar with the 301 or 301A, it does have this really cool handle that's molded right to the lid of the machine, the top of the machine, and it allows you to pick the machine up securely and move it from one table to another, or move it from the tabletop into the case if you're going to be leaving for a quilting expo or a quilting retreat or something like that, and taking your big sister to the featherweight with you. Then you can lift it up by this handle. Just make sure the two bolts that hold it on are secured all the way, otherwise you'll be lifting it up and it'll be like the handle coming off of a suitcase. The suitcase will stay there and you'll be walking with a handle. So not a good thing, especially if it's already in the air. So the motor does fire up. That's good news. Let me grab a screwdriver. We'll take the top off and then we'll kind of look at this machine a little bit closer up. And just see what we see and hear what we hear. So again, if you're not familiar with it, there's two bolts. There's one on this side right over here. You'll see it readily on top. Just use a screwdriver, and again, be very careful because you're right next to the painted surface, obviously, and you don't want that screwdriver to skip off somehow and chip your paint on your machine. And then there's a bolt over here as well, so we're going to remove that one also. And then, kind of like the suitcase, all right, let's go to the quilting retreat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Does anybody have any tape? All right, I'll set this to the back. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a machine that definitely needs deep cleaning. I don't know if I got the best deal on this. I think for the machine in and of itself, I did. I got a great deal in trading my 1591 aluminum machine to Justin, but he definitely didn't go out of his way to clean this machine up. And he also gave me a faulty light switch as well on here, so that's a little bit irritating, which I'll let him know about. If he ever hopes to do any trades with me again, he's going to have to make some sort of a concession, because that's not going to fly, obviously. All right. So the next song I told you we were going to put on is called what? Let's see here. I think kind of reset a little bit. Mary Andras Waltz is what we're going to put on. And it may have recycled like that because I lost internet again. You never know. All right, quick pause on that, because I also want to come off the tripod and get closer to the machine so you can listen to it that way before we have any music playing in the background. All right, we'll come all the way out. Okay, so I'm going to press on this foot controller. And if you're real new to vintage or you're new to this channel, this foot controller was put with a lot of machines. A lot of machines that Singer made. Everything from the original Slant-O-Matic that came out, the 301, excuse me, not the, this is the original Slant-O-Matic. I'm totally off my game. It came out with the original Slant-O-Matic, the 301, but it also came out with a number of the other Slant-O-Matics as well. The 301A has the same foot controller, the 401A, the 403A, the 404, the 500A, the 503A. They're all going to have the same style foot controller. And there's other machines that Singer made as well that are going to have the same kind of foot controller as well, such as the 201, the 201-2, even the 1591 is going to have a similar foot controller to that as well. So, oh, more coffee. More coffee, for goodness sakes. All right, so I'm going to push the foot controller and we'll listen to this machine a little bit closer up. Here we go. Just zoom in a little bit closer. I mean, it's a filthy machine, but it has a motor that I can definitely work with. And once I go through my restorative process for that motor, it's going to run even more powerful than it is now. But look at all the junk in there. Like I said, the Better Homes and Gardens sticker that Justin was hoping for and the A in the class for today, nope, not going to happen. Because this machine, I would never ever send a machine in this condition in a trade, or by all means not to a customer. This needs a lot of attention. So we've tested the motor without a load other than just the balance wheel. Now we're going to test it with a load. So I'm going to go ahead and gauge the clutch, and we'll see if I can drop the camera. We'll see if we're going to get good power delivery down at the needle. And I've already tested the clearance down here for the throat plate, for the hook, so we know that the needle's not going to hit anything. We hope. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. All right, here we go. Just double check that. Yep, good. And if you don't know, this faceplate does open here, so we can look inside of there as well. And notice that you're looking at these things in that, and you might almost be saying, or you might be typing in the chat, I'm not looking at the chat, was this machine in a fire? No, that's just really, really old, baked on, varnished oil. It's caramelized, it's basically... it's turned to a point now where it's as dark as it's going to get. So that's just, again, a sign of the cleanliness of the machine. And unfortunately, when it gets to this point where it gets into the pigment very deeply, when it changes color like that, getting it completely off is going to be really, really difficult. It's going to take a lot of work to try to break it down. And so we'll see. We'll see what I can do with that. But... again, notice the pressure foot is up. Yeah, you do not want to have the pressure foot down, because, as I've said in other premieres, what will happen is the feed dogs will become dulled from going metal to metal. Also, it'll scar the bottom of the pressure foot as well. So let's just check real quick material feed on this. What should I throw underneath there just for fun? Let's see. Why don't we test this stuff? So now we will put the pressure foot down. We're not actually sewing, we're just testing the feed dog movement. So I'm going to go ahead and push the foot controller. And to go in reverse, if you're not familiar with these, you bring it all the way to the top. So we've got good feed dog movement, which, considering the overall cleanliness and condition of the machine, is nothing short of a miracle. Partly I picked this stuff because even when you sew it with a needle, it's got a needle in there, obviously. It doesn't leave really any evident scarring. That's just a piece of lint right there. So I can always use this on a sew-off again, and it's not going to be evident that we just did a test on it. Shh, don't tell anybody. All right. So I don't know what you're hearing. I'm a lot closer to it than you are, even though you're... You know, I've got the camera just inches away from the machine. But my ear is very tuned to machines. That's why some people call me the vintage sewing machine whisperer. Is I can listen to a machine and tell you a lot about how that machine has been maintained and the history of it without ever having sat down to it, without ever taking it apart. This one is an example of a machine that has been under-oiled. I'm hearing a lot of metal to metal. That's why I'm not going to run it much more until I go through the machine, but the machine has not been maintained well. It can be brought back to the top of its game, and I can address any issues with it. but it's evident that it hasn't been over-oiled, that's for sure. At least not recently. Although some of this stuff in here is saying that at one time someone put a lot of oil into this machine, and it probably actually, when they closed the faceplate, after they oiled the inside of the faceplate area and they hit the foot controller, that oil was probably thrown all over the inside of that faceplate, and eventually it kind of caked on and baked on, and that's what you get. So, but we got a lot of opportunities to save this machine and to improve it. You can see right here is one of the real critical lubrication points right here, where they have this little it's basically a oil absorber, so that it kind of retains the oil in that well and keeps that area lubricated longer. But that's where you're going to definitely put some oil as well. This is just a screw point for the lid. You could certainly drop some oil in there as well. It's not going to hurt anything. Critical lubrication area here. These are going to have to be cleaned up and stripped down, these worm gears, and then they're going to need fresh grease. This takes grease here, not oil. A lot of people put oil on it. Please don't do that. Another critical lubrication point right here. This again is for the lid, but you can certainly drop a couple drops of oil in there. It's not going to hurt anything. This is another point that you could put some oil in, but it's not really going to do a whole lot of good. You're a lot better off at this point to come around here and look for those pivot points as the machine is running. Look for those pivot points that either pivot around or up and down, and those are the areas that you're going to be cleaning. Well, you're going to clean the entire thing, but those are the points that you're going to be lubricating once they're clean. Again, don't put oil on a dirty surface. It's like not, it's like changing the oil in the car and leaving the dirty oil filter on the car. And if you think that's okay, you should probably be taking public transportation, not owning a car. Seriously, give your car away. Take public transportation and wear a mask. Social distance, obviously. So you get the idea. Pivot points are critical when it comes to assessing the lubrication points, even as I showed recently with Chris's Singer 101-4, with that sump system, that wicking system that was underneath the bed that you could remove. Remember that? And the spider was in there, and yeah, that was not funny. I mean, it was funny, but that wasn't cool, Dr. Singer. What do you mean you didn't do it? Mr. Bean and Herr Obermeister did it. You guys really did that? You stuck that spider in there to scare me? Not cool. Not cool, guys. Yeah, it was actually kind of cool. I thought it was really cool. They didn't do it to one of the machines. They did it to both of the machines. So if you haven't seen that premiere, go back and watch it. Chris's 101-4, the original model that preceded the 201-2 by about 12 years. So you definitely want to get acquainted with that machine. It's a super cool machine. And now it's back out in New York, the great state of New York. So all in all, I'm happy with the trade. Although, again, I've got to address this issue of this bad switch in the light. And obviously a whole litany of things that have to be done to this machine to get it back to where it needs to be. But it has some real potential. And you will eventually see this machine popping up popping up on the channel, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. So down here we're kind of looking underneath this extension bed. This again is a 301 with a long bed. They have a short bed that's probably only about 3 inches, and this is going to be right around 5 inches long. I think that's correct. Let's just check it real quick since we're right here. Where is my tape measure? There it is. And people have a different way of measuring this too. I'm going to kind of hold it like this, you can kind of see. Some people measure it right from the edge of where the plate would be. Others will go right where that hinge point is right there. But if we go with this as a starting point, it's going to be right around 5.5 inches. The short bed is only going to come out to probably right around, and I don't have a short bed right here that I can look at and measure it, but it's going to be about half the size, a little bit less than half the size, 2.5 to 3 inches. So if we measure it not from there, but we measure it from there, and that's going to be hard to do. Hold on a second. Yeah, so we're looking at gaining a 1/2 inch, depending on how you measure it, whether you measure it from here or whether you measure it from there. It's either going to be 5.5 or 6 inches long, the overall bed length. And the 301, if you're not familiar with it, has a real nice size harp area. The harp area, again, is this space right here, where you're most likely going to be turning material. And the harp space is measured a couple of ways. It's measured from the needle. See, the light just went out. It goes from the needle to the pillar, and then from the bed up to below where the light is, and then also from front to back as well is how you're going to generally be measuring harp space. So if someone tells you the harp space measurements, that's how you verify it. The height, the width, and the depth. Yeah, I can work with this. I can work with this. But Justin is still going to get, I think he's almost down to a D because of this light issue. Yeah, he's almost down. I think he's down to a D now. Justin, you get a D in the class today, just so you know. You can still pass, but you're definitely not going to stand on the stage with the folks that get cum laude and, you know, magnum cum laude and summa cum laude, whatever that is. You know what I'm talking about. You're not going to be standing with the real smart kids. So, what else were we going to do? We're going to cover anything else? We've listened to the machine run. So here's what I can do now. Let me put the camera back on the tripod, assuming I didn't forget anything. So we've got this button holder, we've got the bobbin case, we've got the foot controller, we've got this. I'm really hoping for a manual, but I've got a manual myself that I can use with this machine. That's not a problem. Decals overall are in real good shape on this, and we'll look at this. Actually, why don't we do that? Before we go back on the tripod, I'll put on a little bit of music and we'll actually go around this machine a little bit closer. Hold on a second. Mary Andre's Waltz is what we just heard. Now we're going to do Terrier Waltz. Terrier Waltz, like Terrier the dog. Turn this down so we can talk a little bit as well as we're going around it. So what I was beginning to say is the paint is chalky. You can kind of see that. We've got some marring and rub points on here where zippers and other things over time have probably scratched it. Again, this machine is from 1952. But you can see the hint of a shine coming through there, so this is something that I can work with. Decaling all in all is in decent shape. We get obviously right here where the material has gone over it. The clear coat is gone and it's eaten into the decal. So I don't know if I'm going to replace this decaling, restore it, or what I'm going to do with it, but we'll see. Upper tension obviously has not been cleaned since 1952. Kind of see that. But again, amazingly, even as dirty as this thing is, we're still getting good action, getting real good action from the upper tension unit. So it's something that can be cleaned, restored, and will function much better than it is now. And I can feel, you can't feel it obviously, but there's obviously a lot of varnishing on here that's even inhibiting the movement of that presser foot bar a little bit. See how thick that stuff is? That's something else that has to be dealt with. And also the pressure foot pressure right now is way, way, way low. You can see how far this is screwed out. Turning it clockwise. You can see that turning down there and pressing down to increase that pressure foot pressure. That pressure foot pressure, that's harder to say than you think, folks. Pressure foot pressure. Little tongue twister there. And as I've shown in other Facebook shots and premieres, I think as well, you can take out these two bolts and this whole unit comes out, so you can clean the glass that's underneath there. And also we can look closer at this switch issue and find out what's going on with that. So it really is a user-friendly machine in doing preventive maintenance and doing maintenance on the unit as well. And if you're not familiar with it, well, obviously, as I said, here's the plate that says 301 versus 301A. Stitch length control, anything from 6 all the way down to 30 stitches per inch. And then as you saw me do just a little bit ago, if I want to sew in reverse, I move this all the way to the top. You can actually move it to the top and within that range, as long as it's above that that demarcation line in the middle there. And to wind a bobbin, you're not going to be able to do that right away because this bobbin tire looks also like it's from 1952. See how it's not even seated on there properly. And I'll bet you if I pull this, it's going to crack right in half and maybe even turn into powder. Should we do it? What do you think? Yeah, let's do it. What the heck? Yeah, that is junk. That's absolute junk. So now Justin has gone from a D down to a D minus, because I'll tell you one thing, the 1591 that I sent him had a real nice bobbin winding tire on it. Justin, you're down to a D minus, pal. I don't know if you're going to pass this class today or not. I don't know. I don't know. The jury is out, buddy. But that is definitely not what a bobbin tire should look like, a bobbin winding tire. So really a cool design, though. It kind of tucks into the body of the machine when you don't need it. And then when you do want to use it, don't do it now because it's metal against the inside of the balance wheel. But you then just rotate it, make contact with the balance wheel. This is something you can adjust right up here. You can loosen this little bolt, and you can either slide this up or down, depending on how sensitive you want this to be, and auto disengaging the bobbin after you get done winding it. It's basically, as that fills, it's going to, depending on where you have this set, it's either going to be more sensitive or less sensitive in pushing away to stop the winding of that bobbin. So you just loosen the bolt, slide this up or down. If you slide it up, it's going to be less sensitive. It's going to allow you to fill that bobbin more fully. If you slide it, if you slide it up, if you slide it down, kind of like it is now, then it's not going to let you fill that bobbin as full because it's going to react much quicker to the filling of that bobbin. Did that make any sense at all? I think it did. Look at all that dirt. Ugh! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to give Justin an F yet, but I'll tell you, he's real close. He's real close. You're close, Justin. You're real close. And then we already looked in here. It's filthy. It's awful. And obviously there's a drip pan on the bottom here that you can remove, that you need to remove because there's a lot of service points on the bottom of the machine. And that's also how you access the motor as well, for replacing motor brushes, for servicing the motor. I actually take the entire motor out, as you've seen in other Facebook posts and such. It's the only way you can give that machine a complete comprehensive service and make sure that it's optimized. You got to take the motor out. You got to disassemble the motor, which I'm guessing most of you would not be up for, and that's okay. That's why the workshop is here. You send your 301, your 301A in, or really any of the Slant-O-Matic machines are all going to have that vertically mounted 0.54 amp motor, and I will rip that motor apart. And when you get it back, put your seatbelt on because you're going to need to. You're going to need to. So, all right, well, I will end with a song, just because I love music, you know that. We just did Terrier Waltz. Oh, this is perfect. We're going to do hot, hot coffee now. Hot, hot coffee. Our final song. Kind of walk around this machine a little bit. yeah, I feel okay about this trade. I feel okay. I'm a little bit irritated about certain things, but the baseline of this machine is something I can work with. Remember, I'm doing this with one hand, folks, so. All right, well, this is what I traded my all aluminum Singer 1591 for, which, you know what, it's all good. Oh, excuse me, 1591. Goodness gravy. 99K. Oh, golly. This is called Hot Hot Coffee. I should have had more Hot Hot Coffee today. So again, this is what I traded my all-aluminum 99K for, not my 1591. I wonder if they ever made a 1591 all-aluminum. I don't believe so, but that's something you could certainly check. And then if you want to post it in conjunction with this unboxing announcement on Facebook, that would be totally cool. But this is something I can work with and something I'll definitely turn into a treasure. It already is a treasure, but an heirloom type treasure for either myself or someone else. So God bless. Stay tuned for other great premieres like this where we unbox treasures in this workshop.